There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. Babe, I know that it's your soul, but could you bottle it up?
Hey guys, how are you doing today? I have an amazing message to share with you today, and it's really about following your heart. So I've shared briefly on Facebook that as a teenager, I had a very rebellious spirit about myself. I was very stubborn about kind of doing what I wanted when I wanted. I also experienced a lot of heartache. My heart was broken many times. I made a lot of irrational decisions. But what I know now as an adult is that I was really just following my heart, and I was always very brave and fearless when it came to following my heart. So, if my heart said, date this guy, I would date that guy. If my heart said, you don't feel like going to class today, I would not go to class that day. So even though on the outside it might seem these might have not been the most responsible choices, and I obviously needed to mature with my heart and learn how to make responsible choices, but also fearless choices. And I think it's a balance that we all have between really not allowing ourselves to take that risk or do the leap of faith or really follow our dreams, but then also be a functioning responsible adult in our society. So I really feel that now I'm grateful that at such a young age, I had that ability to fearlessly follow my heart, even though obviously my parents were not a fan of my decisions most of the time. But I know now that my decisions, have really guided and designed the life that I have today. So if I hadn't followed my heart, I, for instance, probably wouldn't have dropped out of college twice. Because of the timing, I probably wouldn't have been in college at the same time as my husband was around the neighborhood, so I potentially would have not met him. There was another time where I was scheduled to take a trip overseas for a whole year, but I decided to instead not take the trip because it just didn't feel right anymore. And I changed my mind. I followed my heart. I stayed, and instead I went through grad school, and I met my amazing mentor that I probably maybe would have never met if I didn't follow my heart and change my mind. I followed my heart and resigned jobs that have not felt good to me. I have followed my heart for 2 years now and been vlogging and blogging and writing and connecting and growing. And I have met so many people through so many different opportunities that I've had with just following my heart through inner ambiance. So I know for a fact it's one of those things that if I was Oprah and I was writing at the end of Oprah magazine, she always writes what I know for sure. So if there's something I was writing that I know for sure is that it's a good thing to follow your heart. That we unfortunately have been led to believe that we cannot trust our feelings. And I hear this a lot from clients, well, I don't know how to trust my feelings. And unfortunately, we've become very disconnected from our feelings because we think that we have to come up with these decisions logically and rationally. And unfortunately, when we disconnect from our real, true feelings, not our ego feelings, that I think that is part of the problem, that we're very tapped into what our ego says, so that we very much attach our feelings to what the ego is saying. But there's something a lot deeper than you that you can call your internal teacher. Course in Miracles calls it the Holy Spirit, your intuition. Gabby Bernstein calls it your ing. Whatever you choose to call it, there's just something more wise and deep, way in your soul, in your innermost knowing place, whatever you want to say. There's just this very silent space inside of us that I am calling also following your heart, that just knows what is best. And it's not something you think about. It's not something that you rationalize. Like I said, as a teenager, I didn't have a rational reason. Actually, it really looked like I was very irrational most of the time, which I was, because I was making decisions based on how I was feeling in that moment. And like I said, as you grow older, you really learn to marry the balance between, waiting and listening and moving at the right time, instead of like, oh, I'm feeling it, so let me just go ahead and take some action right now. So I think that's really the balance that has come with time of, mastering the art of following my heart, but then also listening and waiting for the right moment to take inspired action. But I think that the first step has to be knowing how to listen to your heart and really knowing how to get quiet and see, because many times what your heart is saying is not going to be what other people agree with. It's not even going to look rational or logical. Sometimes it actually looks really crazy on the outside. But if you're willing to be that stubborn and willing to be that committed to listening, then you will hear what you need to do loud and clear, and you will have the fearlessness to move forward. So this is the reason why I'm very grateful that at such a young age, even though it looked like I was very rebellious and disrespectful and I had a problem with authority and all these things, that was obviously the perception that I was getting back. But as I got older, I realized, no, actually what I was really doing was just following my heart. My heart was telling me something and I was just following it. And I didn't, unfortunately, have the guidance, and I didn't receive the proper tools to say, okay, well, you can still do this, but still, function and be responsible. So I encourage you this week to really, really follow your heart. Your heart really knows what's best. Again, you could call it your intuition, you could call it your internal teacher. There's just something inside of you, your desires, your dreams, that just know what is best. And if you really have the courage to follow that, you really begin to design a life full of your dreams coming true, a life full of what I call milagros, just beautiful shifts that take you from being fearful to being fearless, that take you from, not having what it takes to just being willing to take the risk, from feeling like you are crappy in relationships to just cultivating amazing, beautiful friendships, romantic relationships, all kinds of amazing relationships. So it's really these little shifts that we have that allow us to really create the life that we want. So start today, follow your heart, enjoy the weather. Bye!